Hey, we're live. Welcome to 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Hope everybody's doing great and have an awesome day. Go smiley face. Woo. Actually, these two eyeballs. Make it look weird. So when I draw this little icon, it's probably from the Scrum guide, right? And you got the circle. And then I give them a little happy face. This is the daily Scrum symbol, right? And I go do 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 do. Make it a nice smile. That kind of looks crazy. Anyway, my little Scrum face. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's having an awesome day. It's been a busy one for me, so crazy. And I want to say, hey, thank you all. Guess what? We broke the 100 subscribers barrier, so that is actually able to claim the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. You need 2 criteria in YouTube. You need to have 100 subscribers, and you need to be doing it for at least 30 days. And after that, you're eligible to claim your name. So, woohoo, great. She said, great job, yay. You all did great. So thanks. Please continue to subscribe and tell your friends and share the website. But now we'll be able to have the name or some like little code. But I know it maintains the code forever. So, but the fancy name, we can use that, promote that everywhere. So that's awesome. And just want to share with that, and I couldn't have done it without you. So hopefully it'll be good. And I just want to take good morning. Morning. One man show, right? One person show. So it was one of those busy days yesterday. We just being an agile coach and dealing with difficult people. But you know what? I don't know. Maybe if you don't have the difficult people, it ain't worth doing it sometimes, because if it's too easy, it's not a challenge. Sometimes when it's too hard, it's not very happy. And as an agile coach, you'll have those days where you bump heads and little explosions happen in the office, and other people are like, why are they arguing? Why is it so loud? Why is it so bad? So, because you know what? You're confronting it, exposing the issue. Like I had a person yesterday who wanted to put off some one-on-one coaching meetings just because they had a lot of work to do and what to do. And I said, if you're telling me you can't spend a half hour once a week, not once a week, actually, it's once a sprint or even once a month, I try to haggle for the time with your team because you're so busy, I personally want to say you're screwed. Because I'm like, if you have no flexibility to talk to an agile coach for a half hour in a month or so to get your team better so you have more time to do what you're doing, because I know what they're doing and it's not too pretty, and we'll talk about velocities here. Your capacity in your team is terrible. You are over capacity. You are not doing well. You're going to stress out. Oh, by the way, people will start quitting your company and start moving on from your team, and then they're shocked. We had a high turnover rate. I wonder why. Because you're stressing everybody out. But anyway, hey, but that's just something they don't want to admit. But I tell you, Agile exposes this stuff. It exposes you're working too high of a rate, stressing out. Your code's going to start going bad. You're going to get bugs everywhere. People are going to start quitting sooner or later. You can't maintain your team, and then you get in this constant churn of turnover, right? And people don't understand that. And it's like, it's really simple. It's classic. And all Agile does is really expose it. So anyway, so that was a rough day yesterday for me. As an Agile coach, and I know everybody else goes through those days, and some days is great and things are just humming along. And I'll be honest with you, as an Agile coach, when things do go humming along is when I really start working my way out of that place, because I know they're in a good place and I can walk away. So it's kind of, hey, when it's really going great, you guys don't need me anymore. When it's really bad is when you really need me, and I can make your life so much easier and help you do your job. But anyway, but that's what agile coaches do, right? If it's too hard, it's no challenge, and there's no need to be an agile coach. And if you can't handle challenges and tough days, then you shouldn't be an agile coach, because there's going to be a lot of them in the system, and there's going to be a lot of pushback because you're doing change, and every book out there says change is hard. It really is hard. It shouldn't be as hard as it is. Some people make it way too complicated and gold plate it and make you do all this change. And the way I coach, I just coach little changes, how you operate, how you run your little shop, and I'll get you 50% improvement in 6 months. There's no reason why it won't happen. The only reason it won't happen is when you want my clients delay. Oh, we got to do this. We got to keep up. I'm like, if you start now, 6 months from now, you'll be able to do twice as much work in half the time as Jeff Sutherland does. And I have stats to prove that when the teams really do it right, they blow things out of the water. Anyway, so we got the guard, we got the thingy, right? So one of the things I do with teams is, and they're not in the systems, right? I think most of the systems do little bar charts, track velocity history. I personally create my own velocity charts in spreadsheet or something just to track it and do it. And I'll be honest with you, when I do that, all the directors of all the companies, like, and I had one company when I did this chart, and I'll show you, and he showed it. The director said he presented it. All the other managers stopped, and they just focused on these charts and going, what's going on? Because it really clearly shows it. And sometimes using the out-of-the-box graphs just don't do it. So I'm going to show you all how to do this. I'm going to show two things. One, the beginning of what teams look like on the acceleration history, and then two, how to graph this. So, and I'm going to do this here. So it's not going to be all fancy, right? We're low tech, right? And I apologize if the line's crooked. So this is our velocity, okay? This is sprint, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm making this graph, a little line graph, basically, where the vertical is velocity, the horizontal sprints. And when any team starts off, they will always overcommit. The only times they don't do that is when they're a real mature team and they're just coming over to Agile just to help hone their skills and their processes. But typically, let's say the team will commit to this on sprint planning day, okay? But what they really produce is usually down here, way low, right? I always tell teams, whatever you write the first sprint will be wrong. And they're like, no. It's always wrong. Always wrong. The only time it's not wrong, and when I'm wrong on this thing, is like this little tiny percentage. So anyway, so we all established the first sprint. Nobody gets it right. They're just new to estimating. They just started putting the thing. They will be wrong. If anybody ever tells you they're going to be right on the first shot, they don't know what they do and they have no experience. They've never done this job before. Okay. So here's where they go. Now, according to the rule, we talk about history, right? So you do what your history says. You don't create something that, and this is data, right? This is real data. And I'll have another session. I should write that down. We'll do another talk about data. So what you do is you commit to probably not this, because you're going to get better. So you commit a little higher. So, but you commit about right here, which is a little bit bigger, right? What you're going to produce typically is you'll typically produce above it, okay? Then you say, okay, well then we did really great. We blew it out of the water. Let's commit to there again, right? So you commit to here, right? Problem is you're going to make about right here somewhere. You're not going to meet your commitment. It's just not going to happen. By the fourth time, you're using your history now. Well, okay, so what we went too high. Let's commit here. you're probably getting a little better, and then by the 5th sprint, your two are going to be right on top. So what you do is you end up creating this cone, and by the 5th sprint, you figure, well, hopefully it's not going down, but it's going straight. It's just hard to draw that way. You figure out now this is your average velocity, right? This is your average velocity. So that's kind of what your team gets. So by the 5th sprint, you should pretty much know what your average velocity, and then that goes into all the other things, which we have talked to some things in the past, but now I have the whiteboard, so I'll draw them on the whiteboard so people can see it. But by the 5th sprint, you're committed to and you're predicted will probably end up about the same. And it's really funny. If you track this on your teams or you go back into history and look at it, I bet you'll see this shape up. And it's really cool because you can see this when you get new hires and things, or things change in organization, you'll see it kind of go crazy and then it'll level out in like 4 sprints. The only thing that I say 4 sprints. In the books, they all say 4 to 6 sprints, right? What I found is that the smaller the sprint, the smaller that number is going to be. So if it's a 1-week sprint, it'll be like 4 sprints, or 2-week sprint, it'll be 4. So 1 to 2 will be 4 weeks. If it's a 3-week to a month, it'll probably be like 5 enough, not 6 sprints for you to locate your average velocity for your team, okay? And the reason why we talked in another episode about practice, that the longer your sprints, the less practice you get. So, and that's part of that reason. Now, that shows the basics of the team. And any team you show it to, say, hey, you can show this curve that I just showed you on the velocity and over sprint time and what it's going to look like, and share that with them. Here's what I track. Once I do that, and I go back in the back history for organizations I come in who said they were, quote, agile, I go look at their velocity, right? Because maybe there are other people, but I haven't seen anybody else who does this. Just because they go with what the tool tells you and just do the tool. But I've been doing graphics and statistics for 30 years, so I know how to do the graphs. Anyway, and I was actually surprised how it actually came out, to be honest with you. So we got the velocity chart, right? So we're drawing that. I have to do that better. But it doesn't really matter. It's live, right? Does it really matter? So we got the verticals of velocity. These are the sprints. And then these are sprints. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. So these are the sprints on the bottom over time and the velocity over time. So what I usually track, it's very similar to what I just showed you. So there's a sprint planning number. So let's say my sprint planning number, I put the little triangle there, the first sprint's right there, okay? Now I have no previous history, so I can't do it. So I'm just picking that number. And then my average, let's say, is down here. My actual. So this is planning. So the little triangle is planning. The star is an actuals. So that are not actuals. I guess it's actual. It depends what your term is. Some places use completed, done, accepted. So your actuals are that. So let's just say it's done. Let's use the word done. And this is plan. Okay. So we got done and plan, right? So this is done. This is plan and this is done. Okay. So that's the first sprint. So in the next period, right, we're going to say, I use a number called what should be used. And the reason why I do that is people pick their own number. So you can call it history. So let's make a circle a history number. So history predicts that the next sprint should be the same as the actuals are done in the previous sprint, because we do empirical data. This is empirical data, right? We base it based on data. So everybody talks about this touchy-feely stuff, but this is the data. So this is what's done, all right? Now, what my teams will do is they're going to do a sprint planning above what the empirical data says. Okay, fine. Now, so this is like day one information right there. So these two are day one, right? Now, at the end of the sprint, let's say it's 2 weeks, we capture our actual. So that number is 2 weeks later. Okay. So these two, so history is day one, planning is day one, and done, which I wish to spell, is like day 14. Now, I will tell you, a lot of these systems provide you fake information. And you're going to have to learn which system you do. And maybe I should talk about each system and how to understand what they do and what the data they get, because they don't necessarily give you the right actuals, and they don't necessarily give you the true sprint planning day number. So you have to monitor that, okay? Because as the system changes through the week, those numbers change on their display, because I don't think they ever really done Agile before. And they just said, oh, we'll just do what everybody else says, and they don't really understand. They don't understand the sprint planning day. So anyway, so this is the actual or the done. This is sprint planning, and this is predicted. So now the next day, we put in the predicted, which the history, which is the same as the previous actuals, right? So this number and that number goes right there, right? So that's theirs. And let's say they go higher or they go lower. It can be either one. Let's say they I've had it work. I want to show you some graphs. Say they went higher. Okay. Because that happens a lot. But they actually score down here, lower. Okay. And that happens too. Now, this is why I packed the 3. Can you see the 3? So this is what history says. This is what the team picked because it's independent. And this is the actual. See the disparity here? It's wider. And you're going to look at the gap between the numbers. Does it get narrow and tight, which means they kind of figured out the rhythm? Or is it all over the place, right? So right now it's still over the place, right? So now we're going to take this number and we're going to put this we're going to the fourth one here. We're going to put the history one here, right? So the history one goes there. They're going to like, okay. They're going to argue with you, right? It's fourth one. But we want to go a little higher. We want to do a little higher. Okay, we're going to do a little higher because we're just so much better. And no matter what you'd say, we're just going to do better. Okay. So they picked that. Here's what they sprint plan with. Here's what the history says to pick, and then they do here. See, by the 5th sprint, they actually sprint a little bit better in history because it's probably going to be right on history. Okay. Whoops. It's probably going to be right on here. So they're still a little higher. Okay. So now we come over here to 5th. We put the circle. Okay. They decide they're going to hit it. They're going to like, okay, we'll do the history. We'll pick what the thing is. And I bet you it'll be either higher or lower. It might be right on top of each other, right? The actuals will hit that. All right. So now after a couple sprints, so this is like the 6th, the 7th sprint. Okay. And you'll get things where you'll see a circle, and then sometimes they get oh, what's, and we'll have to do bad. So I won't do bad. I'll do that on another one. They did there, and then they start here, and maybe the circle's up here now, and they predict. They're getting pretty good predicting, and the star is like maybe it's a little higher, maybe. Okay, because what will happen once they hit this point, it actually will start edging its way up. It always does, because once they figure their medium, then they know what they can do and what they can edge. They can get the small little improvements out of their time. So now after the 4th one is when you do what I call their 3 sprint moving average. right? And I don't know what that would be, a square. I don't know. But anyway, but then you can do that. So now you start plotting on there the moving average. And since it's 1, 2, 3, your first one's going to be probably here, right? And then it'll be 1, 2, 3, and then it's 1, 2, 3. The moving average shows up in there somewhere, right? And then it just kind of creeps up a little bit, and then the moving average starts going up. Now this doesn't look good. Maybe I'll have to print out an old curve that I had, and I'll show you. I actually have blog posts on it that show some different velocity curves. But then those are the 4 numbers I track. I track sprint planning day, which is after everybody does their tasking, and you do not want to record it before everybody does their tasking because it's going to go crazy. How much you had done for the sprint, usually day 14. The history, which is a predictive number ahead based on the history of your previous sprint, and then maybe a three sprint moving average, which kind of takes an average of 3 sprints, because you can have a lot of ups and downs from sprint to sprint, and what the moving average just kind of gives you a nice steady state. And then sometimes in the graphs you can draw trending. Ooh, we went 21 minutes. I shouldn't do all that. We're way over time. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, that's how you do the graph. I guess I have to figure out if I'm going to do a graph, I got to do just one, because we'll talk a topic and everything like that. Anyway, please like and subscribe. 5am Mester Scrum. You all are awesome. We're slowly but surely growing. Share with your friends. I'm on LinkedIn also. Look under Mester, M-E-S-T-E-R. And I'm Greg Mester. You're an Agile coach and Scrum Master. Been doing project management for 30 years. So this is where I'm at now. And I really like this stuff because I found that it really does meet kind of how I've been doing things before I knew Scrum and Agile actually existed. So it comes in together with I am. Anyway, you have a great day. It is a Thursday. Oh, don't forget, I should have put this at the beginning. Taylor Swift's on YouTube. It's all over the place. So they're doing a YouTube thing. So I figured I'd promote it. I think every time I hit my YouTube channels, there's Taylor Swift. Woohoo! So I wish one day they'll say, "Oh, it's 5am Mester Scrum. Woohoo! We should advertise that." No, I'm kidding. We're just a little group, mostly of people that are in IT, the people that want to improve their business, people that want to get better, and that's what I'm hitting, going for that niche, and not necessary for the kids programming and stuff like that. So anyway, again, thank you very much. We hit 100. I'll be using the name in my marketing stuff and getting the name out there, and I appreciate it. You'll have a wonderful day, and take care. Happy Scrumming. Bye.